Hello, students. So this is our first screencast of our distance learning time together. So welcome. It's good to hear from you, or I guess you're just hearing from me now. So you've done some work on the Great Schism that was finalized in 1054. You watched the Ed puzzle, you took a quiz on it, you took notes on it from your textbook. Make sure those notes find their way into your notebook. So you know the causes, you know all the repercussions of it. You know that after 1054, when at first at 1054 people didn't really think the split was that bad, but then the crusades, the fall of Constantinople, and the difference in teachings or doctrinal differences really made it almost impossible for the two churches to get back together. And that was our reality for a really long time, specifically 910 years until 1964. It was mentioned briefly in the Ed Puzzle video, but Pope Paul VI in 1964 and Patriarch of Constantinople Athenagoras got together in Jerusalem. After centuries and centuries of the two churches being apart, these two men decided to meet as brothers in Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives and to make a public show of their brotherhood together. And they met more than just this one first time. They met another time as well. And that was really the beginning of the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church bridging the gap and trying to heal this wound. This section that we started before the break happened was about wounds to the unity of the church. And with the help of the Holy Spirit, these men began the process of trying to heal that wound. And every pope since Paul VI, with the exception of John Paul I, because John Paul I was only pope for about 30 something days in 1978. Every single pope since then has met with a patriarch of the Eastern Orthodox Church. Specifically, we have Patriarch Bartholomew here meeting with Pope St. John Paul II, who died in 2005, and then Pope Benedict XVI, who retired in 2013. Here he is meeting with him. And then, of course, the current Pope Francis has really met a lot with Patriarch Bartholomew and even the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church as well, which is another big part of the Eastern Orthodox Church. These two men have actually grown to become really close friends. They've made a lot of appearances together, they've worshiped together. Patriarch Bartholomew was at Pope Francis's inauguration mass. So it was a big, this is an important relationship that has lasted quite a long time. They've really worked on healing the wounds in the church. So since 1964, there's been an effort made on both sides to heal this wound. Every single pope, and I've listed them here, they have, especially now with Pope Francis, they have worshiped together. They've made joint statements on important world issues. An important one that I recently saw was in 2016, they made a joint statement and a joint appearance in Greece on, and it gets cut off at the bottom here, I'm sorry, on the refugee crisis in Europe because of the Syrian war. So they have been trying to not only worship together, but also to comment on world problems and crises with spiritual leadership. The Holy Spirit is really guiding these two brothers back together. And I don't just mean Francis and Bartholomew as the two brothers, but Saint Andrew is actually a major saint of devotion in the Eastern Orthodox Church. And if you remember from the gospel readings, Andrew and Peter, they're brothers. They're actual biological brothers. They're fishermen, they fish together. And Peter is the first pope. So the Roman Catholic Church has its devotion to Peter. And recently, in the last year, Pope Francis had a reliquary, which is a box containing relics of saints, of some of the bones of St. Peter discovered under St. Peter's Basilica. And he made a gift of these bones, this reliquary, to Patriarch Bartholomew of Constantinople. So this is not just a gift of a relic of a saint, But this is Francis really trying to make a symbolic statement to say these two brothers who met Jesus himself along the Sea of Galilee while they were mending their nets, these two brothers deserve to be closer and closer together. So that's why Francis made this gift in the past year. And hopefully, the Holy Spirit is on its way to healing this wound in the unity of the church.